Look at the weather.
It's beautiful here.
Non-stop rain.
Oh, man, it is a blazer out there.
It's cold and it's shivery.
It is cold.
Really coming down here.
I really enjoy your weather reports.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network, we're talking weather in a whole new way. From historical events to what's coming up, plus weather news, science, safety, fun facts, and more.
I like where this is going.
This is Weather Weekly. Weather Weekly with Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey.
It is episode 220 of Weather Weekly. Good to be with you, Marcus Bailey, meteorologist at Wish TV in Indianapolis. And coming off a pretty active weekend here, not only across central Indiana, but of course, really the eastern half of the country, dealing with its first legit severe weather outbreak. Unfortunately, loss of life with some of the severe storms down to the south. Our thoughts and prayers are with those folks. We had to deal with a little bit of damage. I'm going to talk about that before we kind of dive into the forecast here in the beginning of this podcast here. Total of preliminarily, and this is as of March 16th, 7 tornadoes in the entire state of Indiana, 2 of which were in central Indiana. There was a continuation of one that came from the Paducah, Kentucky office, but it originated near Evansville. Did some damage. Still getting some survey crews out on that. That was probably where some of the more significant damage was in our state. There was also 2 up near Chicago, northwestern Indiana, real close to Lake Michigan, Crown Point area. Locally, the official numbers here, tornado in Park County, so that was western Indiana, is an EF1, 110 mile per hour winds. The length was on the ground for about 2.5 miles. This is near the town of Mecca. Did do some damage to a garage, completely destroyed that. 150-year-old barn was mostly destroyed. There were some other residents nearby that had some tree and pole damage. Thankfully, no injuries. Another one in Davies County. So this is south of Indianapolis, near Lagodi. This was an EF1 as well, 110 mile per hour winds. This one was on the ground for about 13.5 miles. Max width was 400 yards. There was a farm in Davies County that sustained damage. That was the most significant. Something to note, there was a piece of a 2x4 that was thrown and driven through a windshield of a semi-truck. 2 large grain bins were destroyed, and some debris was thrown at least a mile northeast of the original location. And then the third is Jackson County. Again, I'm just focusing on central Indiana. EF1, 105 mile per hour winds in Jackson County. This was south of Brownstown. This was on the ground for about 2.25 miles, and the max width was 50 yards. This was a real brief spin up, briefly touchdown. Did do some damage to a mobile home where the entire roof was torn off and the walls were collapsed. Which is why we stress mobile homes. I know that is an affordable housing and is good housing for many people. But it is not good for shelter in severe weather. Okay. And so just a good example, that was an EF1 is not all tornadoes can do damage, but in the grand scale of things, an EF1 is not the strongest of tornadoes, and you see what kind of damage that did. So now as we enter into severe weather season, I'm not trying to discourage people from living those type of homes, but I am encouraging people to make sure they have a safe place to go, whether in that community there is a shelter that you can go to. If not, if you're more in a rural area or the community does not have a storm shelter, then you can find a business nearby, preferably one that's open 24 hours, because if something happens in the overnight. This happened at 5:13 in the morning on a Saturday morning, so there would be, your average business would not be open at the time, but somewhere you can quickly get to. All right. Just a friendly reminder. Also a friendly reminder, make sure you have a way to get alerts. Many of these storms happen overnight or very early morning when people were sleeping. Storm sirens are not meant to be heard indoors these days. It's an old technology. They serve their purpose. But you could ask any county EMA that are responsible for sounding those sirens. Their preference for you is own a weather radio in your home. And another backup is make sure your alerts are turned on your phone. Several weather apps as well. Shameless plug, but our Storm Track 8 weather app does a pretty good job of alerting for severe weather. And you can put several locations. I have my mom's up in Muncie. I have our home as well. So that way I can kind of keep an eye on multiple places. All right. So that's just a quick little recap. Sorry, this intro went a little bit longer, but I did want to kind of just briefly recap that. Most of the reports that we had were of wind damage or wind reports. We had several areas that exceeded 60 mile per hour winds. There were some power outages. There were some flooding issues too, especially along the I-69 corridor, both south and north of Indianapolis. There was a very thin swath with a combo of rain Friday overnight into Saturday, and then that second round that came in Saturday afternoon that put down a quick 2+ inches of rainfall. And so there was a lot of standing water in some of those spots. Okay. So thankfully things are going to quiet down at least a little bit here. We'll be able to dry out and have some nicer days coming up for any cleanup efforts that are going to be going on after this weekend severe weather, which we will touch on for the week ahead forecast, March 17th, 2025. That is next here on Weather Weekly.
There's one thing that will forever change the way you sleep, and it's the softest 100% organic cotton bedding from Boll & Branch. You'll fall asleep faster wrapped in the most luxurious comfort. You'll never sleep hot again with airy blankets, cloud-like duvets, and breathable sheets. You'll experience pure comfort on night one and feel your bedding get softer with every wash. Discover the difference with 15% off your first order at bollandbranch.com with code WONDERY15. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
It is the week ahead, March 17th, 2025. Let's go ahead and dive in. It is St. Patrick's Day on Monday, and a lot of people are going to be wanting to do some fun festivities in and around central Indiana. Weather's not going to be too bad. It's going to be coolish. It's not going to be terrible. Not going to be as mild as what we enjoyed for much of last week, unfortunately. But I do think we brighten things up. I think it really should be a decent day. Winds are going to be a lot more calm. So even though it'll be cool, it's not going to be unbearably cool. Kind of, hoodie weather. It'll be tolerable to be outside for an extended period for sure. Mostly sunny skies and highs into the mid 50s as we get under the influence of high pressure here for Monday as that cold front continues to move east. So we should be in pretty good shape there. Monday night, no major concerns, mainly clear, quiet, little cool, but not terrible. Lows will be dipping down to the lower 40s. Now, what's going to end up happening on Monday night is we're going to flip some things here. We're going to get those upper level winds swapping from the north and west to eventually the south and southwest. And so that's going to bring in some warm air advection, and that's going to help warm our temperatures up. I do think the winds will pick up a little bit, not terrible. Certainly not like what we had, Friday and Saturday, parts of Sunday. But it will be a little breezy. It'll be a warm breeze kind of rolling through here. We could get 30 mile per hour wind gusts at times. But it really should be nice. We'll go mostly sunny skies. I think highs will push close to 70 degrees. Not bad. And again, mostly sunny for much of the day. There might be a few clouds that kind of roll in here Tuesday afternoon. And then we'll increase the cloud cover Tuesday night with that warm air advection combo. We'll only have lows into the mid-50s. So it should be tolerable heading into the overnight hours. Maybe a little breezy, but not terrible. I think they'll relax a little bit. Wednesday, kind of cloudy. I'm going to go partly to mostly cloudy skies. Again, pretty mild. Not as warm as Tuesday. But it should be warmer than average day. It will be a little breezy. We're awaiting our next storm complex to come in. Morning should be dry. But I do think the afternoon and evening hours are likely going to be wet and possibly stormy as well. I'm going to go highs into the mid 60s and wind gusts 30 to 40 plus. So borderline advisory type of day we will see. But just an early heads up on that. I will say the system is pretty dynamic. It's borderline, what I would call marginal severe. There's no real outlook on this yet. It doesn't have the dynamics that the system on from the weekend had. Something to keep an eye on. I'm not overly concerned with severe weather at this point. I'd say, if anything, I'm probably a little bit more concerned with, one, the just gradient winds. It's going to get gusty again. And two, maybe some minor flooding concerns. There could be some heavy rain involved here. So we'll see. But again, I'm not super, super concerned here. All right, let's go into Thursday. Or I guess I passed by Wednesday night. So on the back end of the system, you're going to get another shot of cold temperatures, cold air advection. Winds are going to shift out of the north and west. And so I think our Wednesday night lows, as rain continues, we're going to slide into the mid 30s. And I honestly wouldn't be shocked to maybe see a few snowflakes mixing in. Now, thankfully, because the ground is pretty warm, right? We've stayed above freezing for a while. We may have a couple of nights that will dip below freezing. But overall, since last week, we have been running very mild. So the ground should be warm enough, even if we cool down to near freezing Wednesday night and we get some wet snowflakes mixing in, or maybe even just flip the switch completely, nothing should really stick on the roads specifically. All right. So not concerned with that. Thursday, it's going to be a very chilly day, raw day, blustery day. We're going to have some light showers kind of lingering on early Thursday morning. That rain should start to move out by the afternoon. And highs will only be into the mid and upper 40s. I don't know if we'll even make it to the 50s, unfortunately. So not fun. Not going to be a really pleasant day. Friday is a little better. The nice thing about this time of year is you're going to get these shots of chilly temperatures, but they are very short-lived. And so while Thursday is not going to be the most fun day, we will warm up nicely by Friday. So partly cloudy overnight Thursday night, lows around 30. I think we'll dip just below freezing. But Friday, mostly sunny, and we should be closer to a little bit above average, actually. Mid and upper 50s on the way for Friday. Weekend, there are some chances for precipitation. I'm just kind of glancing at the long term with the models here. And again, once we get out of the wake of Thursday system, Friday should be dry. And then Saturday, maybe in the afternoon hours, we get a brief shower and we'll warm up to near 60. Sunday, I think most of the day is dry. We may have a few showers kind of working into southern parts of the state by late Sunday night, and maybe more significant potential for precipitation on Monday. So that would take us to the 25th. That's kind of getting to spring break territory there. And as of now, track would not be favorable for a severe weather threat. Again, we're kind of getting way out there, though. All right. Long term, and we'll do the 8 to 14 day, but I just wanted to look at the national blend of model output over the next several days, which would take us, I could go to the 26th. And it kind of has near normal temperatures. Tuesday and Wednesday, it has us kind of as the warmest in this extended period. And then Sunday, we warm back up. The weekend, we're near 60 both days. Same thing for Monday, the 24th, and then falling back to the mid-50s for Tuesday and Wednesday. It's not terrible, all right? It's not terrible. It's not as warm as what we had last week, but, outside of maybe a couple of days, and really Thursday is going to be the coldest of this stretch coming up, where we won't make it out of the 40s. And then obviously Sunday, this past Sunday that we experienced was pretty raw too. But Outside of that, you're either at or slightly above average. So not awful. All right. In terms of rainfall, let's do that. The Weather Prediction Center 7-day precipitation estimates has us less than a half an inch around pretty much most of the state, about a quarter to a third of an inch over the next 7 days. So that's not bad. And slightly higher up in northwestern Indiana, from South Bend over to, the suburbs of Chicago in northwestern Indiana. You're talking a half an inch to 3/4 of an inch. Again, should not be overly problematic. All right. So all in all, not a terrible forecast. We're going to have a couple of windy and cooler days, but kind of your standard mid-March weather coming up here over the next several days. All right, we'll wrap everything up. Look at where we stand for the month of March, precip-wise, and look ahead to the next 8 to 14 days as well. That's coming up next on Weather Week. Okay, before I get to the climate stuff, I wanted to go back real quick, talk about the rainfall totals over this past weekend. Some of the big numbers that I had, again, most of these were south of Indianapolis, mainly along the I-69 corridors where we had the heaviest rainfall over the last 2 days. So this will date back to the 14th, Friday morning at 7 a.m. All right, so Jefferson in southern Indiana, 2.23 inches. That's the big winner in our state. Bloomington at 2.19. Huntingburg, 1.79 inches. Muncie about an inch and a half. Bedford about an inch and a half. Same thing with Grissom Air Force Base in Peru. Batesville about 1.46. Evansville about 1.3. Indianapolis officially in that 2-day time frame was just shy of an inch, 0.96 inches of rainfall. All right, so let's do the climate stuff. For the month, rainfall, month to date, 1.2. It actually is down a half an inch. Last year at this time, we had 1.78. And since the beginning of the year, we're at 3.89, down 3.32 inches of precipitation. No snowfall for March. Let's keep it that way. Or actually, I guess we got a tenth of an inch. We'll hopefully keep it that way. We actually are down almost 2 inches from average. And since July 1st, we stand at 20.5 total. We're down 3.6 inches of snowfall. Again, I'm hopeful we're getting to the point now we're not adding any more to that. I think everybody would be probably just fine with no more snow. 8 to 14 day puts us at near normal. So it kind of confirms what I just mentioned. It goes a little bit beyond, but this would be March 23rd through the 29th. Near normal temperatures for basically the eastern half of the country, and some slight signals for above average precipitation. Nothing too extraordinary there. 3 to 4 week outlook. No strong signals on temperatures. This would be 29th through April 11th. Equal chances either way. And maybe some signals that we stay above average in terms of precipitation. Here, no changes to the drought monitor. I would expect, though, we probably see a little bit of improvement with that. We still have a moderate drought in the northern third of the state. Southern half or whatever is fine. Technically, in the Indy metro area, we are abnormally dry, but I would expect that we're probably going to see at least some sort of improvement to that forecast here. All right, that's all I got. So should be a pretty, hopefully, quiet week for you. Many of you, this might be the last week of school for spring break. So enjoy, and hopefully the weather cooperates, whether you're staying at home. We'll look ahead to that coming up next week. And or if you're going south for a week or more, hopefully things are going to be looking pretty good for you there. And we'll maybe take some peeks at that as well. All right. If you have any feedback, always love to hear it. Shoot me an email anytime, marcus.bailey@wishtv.com. You can also reach me on socials, Marcus Bailey Weather on Facebook, and at Marcus Bailey on Instagram and X. I'm also on TikTok as well, so you can check that out. What else? Oh, yeah, you can get our forecast 24 hours a day on our website at wishtv.com/weather. And, of course, our free Storm Track 8 weather app. Just go to your phone's app store. I believe you have to search for Wish TV weather, not Storm Track 8 weather. Just FYI. You can also get my forecast Monday through Friday on the TV side, locally in Central Indiana, Channel 8. And, of course, always online at wishtv.com and hit the live stream. I'm there Monday through Friday, 4 a.m. to 10 a.m. Hope to see you soon. While you're here, make sure to check out all the other great podcasts, all part of the All Indiana Podcast Network. Have a wonderful week. We will talk to you soon, and God bless.
Discover more from Storm Track 8 Weather and Wish TV. Online at wishtv.com and when you follow Wish TV on Facebook. Plus, be sure to check out more great podcasts from the All Indiana Podcast Network now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.